Imagine being a congressman from Texas, a public servant who has always believed that the halls of power in Washington, D.C. are a sanctuary, a place where safety is a given. You walk the city's storied streets, confident that the nation's capital, with its imposing monuments and constant security presence, is immune to the dangers that plague other cities. But what if that sense of security is just an illusion? That illusion shattered one night, when a brazen robbery unfolded not in a distant neighborhood, but right inside your own upscale apartment building. The very place you call home, where you expect privacy and protection, suddenly becomes the scene of a crime. Congressman Wesley Hunt experienced this firsthand. Criminals targeted the front desk of his building, making off with valuable electronics and leaving behind a shaken sense of security. The police arrived, but the damage was already done. Personal belongings lost, and trust in the city's safety deeply shaken. Unfortunately, this isn't just a one-off event. It's part of a troubling pattern, a symptom of a city struggling with rising crime and neglect. Once proud neighborhoods now show signs of decay, and residents, even lawmakers, feel increasingly vulnerable. For Hunt, a combat veteran who has faced danger abroad, the real shock is seeing these threats at home. He believes this incident highlights a much deeper political problem, pointing to the failures of progressive policies that, in his view, have allowed crime to flourish and accountability to slip away. The robbery is more than just a personal violation. It's a wake-up call about the real-world consequences of defunding police departments and adopting lenient approaches to crime. When law enforcement is stretched thin and criminals feel emboldened, no one is truly safe, not even those in the highest offices. This incident serves as a stark reminder that chaos and disorder aren't just distant headlines. They're happening right at the Capitol's doorstep, challenging the very sense of security that our leaders, and all Americans, depend on. When D.C. descended into chaos, the city's streets became a symbol of uncertainty and fear. Sirens echoed through the night, and the sense of security that residents once felt seemed to vanish almost overnight. Businesses shuttered their doors, and families anxiously watched the news, hoping for a sign that order would soon be restored. The nation's capital, usually a beacon of stability, was suddenly gripped by unrest that threatened to spiral out of control. In response, President Trump acted decisively, invoking Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act, a rarely used but powerful measure. This legal authority allowed the federal government to intervene directly, bypassing local officials to address the emergency head-on. The move was swift, calculated, and designed to send a clear message. The federal government would not stand by as the Capitol descended further into disorder. He deployed the National Guard to restore order, addressing the rising crime that plagued the city. Convoys of military vehicles rolled into D.C., and uniformed soldiers took up positions at key intersections and government buildings. Their presence was both reassuring and sobering, a reminder of the seriousness of the situation and the government's commitment to restoring peace. For many residents, this bold move was a relief, signaling a renewed commitment to public safety. People emerged from their homes to watch the guards' arrival, some waving, others simply grateful for the visible show of support. Conversations with law enforcement and guard members helped ease tensions, fostering a sense of unity and hope that the worst was finally behind them. The goal was clear: reclaim the streets and ensure security for residents and workers. As the days passed, the city began to return to a sense of normalcy. People resumed their daily routines, businesses reopened, and the ever-present anxiety slowly gave way to cautious optimism. The Guards' patrols became a symbol of resilience and the determination to protect the heart of the nation. Importantly, Trump's action wasn't about imposing martial law, it was about deterrence and restoring dignity to the Capitol. The collaboration between the National Guard and local police sent a powerful message to would-be troublemakers. Lawlessness would not be tolerated, and the city's institutions would stand strong in the face of adversity. By deploying the Guard, President Trump defended the nation's honor and made it clear that Washington, D.C. would not succumb to chaos. The American flag flying above the Guard's post became a symbol of hope, unity, and the enduring strength of the nation's capital. Predictably, Trump's decisive action sent shockwaves through Washington, immediately sparking outrage among Democratic leaders and their supporters. The response was swift and vocal, with many Democrats taking to the airwaves and social media to denounce his move as an overreach of executive power and a blatant disregard for local authority. Their anger was palpable. echoing through the halls of Congress and spilling out onto the streets, where protesters gathered to voice their disapproval. But their outrage wasn't truly about crime or the safety of the city's residents. It was about Trump's intervention, which they saw as a direct challenge to their influence and control over the city's affairs. Instead of focusing on the urgent need to restore order and protect citizens, Democratic leaders seemed more concerned with maintaining their political power and defending their own turf. The debate quickly shifted from public safety to partisan posturing, with both sides digging in. Congressman Jamie Raskin emerged as a leading voice of opposition, fiercely objecting to the deployment of the National Guard and insisting that such measures were unnecessary and provocative. Yet, as boarded-up storefronts and anxious residents made clear, the city was in crisis. Despite pleas from citizens desperate for safety and stability, Democratic arguments relied on familiar talking points, sidestepping the real issues facing the community. This opposition revealed itself as a calculated political maneuver, exposing a party more interested in scoring points against Trump than in addressing the urgent needs of the people they represent. Congressman Wesley Hunt didn't hold back, calling out what he saw as blatant hypocrisy and highlighting how this political theater amounted to a betrayal of the public's trust and the city's most vulnerable residents. The Democratic opposition to Trump's crackdown reveals staggering hypocrisy. They deploy the National Guard for their agendas, but decry its use for public safety. Hunt pointed out their double standards, like Minnesota's Guard deployment for COVID-19 enforcement. California's Governor Newsom cleaned up for a foreign leader, ignoring local crime. This double standard frustrates honest citizens, exposing partisan smokescreens. Trump's actions stripped away Democratic facades, revealing raw political hypocrisy. Despite political posturing, Trump's crackdown made D.C. safer, at least according to many observers. The operation led to significant arrests, including a dangerous MS-13 member, and disrupted several criminal networks. Residents noticed a positive change, feeling safer in previously dangerous areas, and more comfortable going out at night. This isn't abstract politics, it's real-world impact, restoring order and peace of mind for families and communities. The DC crime debate highlights a political divide. One side opposes Trump at all costs, the other prioritizes safety and security. The results speak for themselves, questioning why one party seems to root for failure instead of progress.